author real talk, why does it sometimes feel like having author friends is a second job? Okay, let's break it down a little bit. When you have friendships with authors, we are a very tight community. We are people who have to work together because we're so isolated in everything else we do. Sitting by a computer by ourselves, writing novels for hours on end can feel very isolating. And so oftentimes we feel like we have to have this congregation of people around us. We have to have a group and a community, and that's good and that is healthy. But sometimes it gets to be a little bit much. Sometimes we feel like we have to rely on the people in our space. We have to market together. We have to collaborate together. We have to do all of these things. And we do not have healthy boundaries. And all of this comes down to developing healthy boundaries as an author. Yes, you have to have times of isolation to get your work done. That's a boundary. We're not letting other people take our writing time away from us. We talk a lot about protecting our writing time, and that's really important. But it's also important to make sure we're setting those boundaries with our author friends and the things that we're doing. We don't have to do every collaboration with them. We don't have to be on every live stream with them. We don't have to show up to everything. And so understanding our circles of friends, which we talked about in the last video, we talked about creating those circles of friends, our innermost circle, the people we're closest to, friends, family, spouses, sometimes our best friends, and then people we talk a lot to people we talk less to, are people who are just working relationships, etc. We've got those circles, and understanding how much time and effort we're spending on those circles is incredibly important, because oftentimes we feel like, well, this is my coworker, it is not my competition, it's my coworker, and I have to be there to support them and show up to all the things that they do, and they just don't have to do that. We're talking about healthy relationships here. And this goes for any relationship that you have. You are not going to spend every waking minute of every single day with your spouse, with your person, with your people, with your mom, with your sister, with your best friend. It's not going to happen, and we don't have to implement that into our working relationships with other authors as well. So it's important to make sure you set boundaries for your time. Understand you're going to be there to support each other as best as possible, but they are not required to show up to everything you do, and you're not required to show up to everything that they do. Understanding that as part of your friendship from the start is going to be essential and can cost you friendships if you don't have those conversations and if you don't understand these things. I never expect people to show up for me, and oftentimes they don't, which means I have to be okay with that. I have to understand it's not their responsibility or obligation to show up to all of my live streams or to watch all of my YouTube videos or to read every book that I've ever written. That's just not practical. And I, in turn, am not responsible for doing work for them, for showing up for them all the time. Of course, we both want to make sure we're there for each other as much as possible, but we understand that there are other responsibilities in our lives too. We're taking care of families, we're taking care of people, we're writing novels, we're running businesses, we're working other jobs. All of these things are going to have a place in our life. And so understanding how we categorize our life and our time is incredibly important. You need to do what's best for you to protect your own emotional and physical and mental well-being, and that means setting those boundaries. Now, with that in mind, you also have to understand how much time and effort you're going to be putting into these things. So setting the friendships aside, not thinking about specific people, I want you to actually figure out your time of day. How much time are you willing to spend writing your novels? How much time are you willing to spend marketing your novels? How much time are you willing to spend being a part of other people's lives? Take the faces and the names out of the equation. Set specific amounts of time per day, per week, per month that you're willing to spend on other people. Now you can use that time to decide how much time you're giving to this person and to that person and to that person to be fair. We're making this unbiased. We're making sure we're looking at our time as a whole, not as I have to support these people because I'm close to them. You are giving as much time as you possibly can to them while being fair to your other friends too, within the confines of the time you have available for this. We're making sure we understand our own time management. And sometimes that can get messy and murky and muddied when we have specific faces and names attached to it. So put that aside and just look at your schedule. What can you do? What do you have to give in terms of that time to be there to support other people throughout the course of a day, a week, a month? Understand these things. Now, within the confines of that specific amount of time, how you then divide it up can be based on the names and faces. I'm going to give 60% of this time to my best friend. I'm going to give 10% of this time to this group of people. I'm going to give 10% of this time to new people I'm just meeting. I'm going to reserve this 10% of time to make sure that I have freedom to show up when I'm available to show up. You can do this however you want, but do it objectively. Then you can do it compared to the faces and the names that you want to support. But dividing up your time is going to really change the game. Now, of course, making sure we understand who we're giving our time and effort to is important. We don't want to give all of our time and effort away and not have anything for ourselves. It's just like the airplane conversations. When you're in an airplane, the oxygen mask comes down, you have to put it on yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't help the other people around you. If you are not protecting your time and your well-being, you're not going to be able to support other people. So making sure you have conversations in your own business is the first thing you need to do. Understand how you're blocking out your time and what you're then able to physically give to others. And then you can decide how you want to spend the time within the confines of that. Making sure then you have conversations with your friends, with your friend groups, with whatever you are working with is incredibly important as well. But it's also important to be judicial about who you're spending your time with. In the last video, we talked about how we have really great, strong groups of people who are here to be supportive and help the industry grow and thrive and all of these things. But we also have people who are known to be on the dramatic side, to tear people down and to not really give back into this community. So be smart about who you're spending your time with on a professional level, not on a friendship level, on a professional level. You need to spend more time with the people who are helping others to grow and building up themselves in the industry, and spend less time with the drama queens. We do not want to be pulled into a lot of extra things that are going to take up our time and effort. So being judicial about who we're spending our time with, understanding our circles of friendship, and then allowing people to be moving in those rings further or closer away depending on seasons of life, what's going on, their behavior, your behavior, etc. And understanding it's okay for those things to change as you go. And then really understanding your time constraints and what you're able to do is going to help you to make sure that this doesn't feel like a job. This shouldn't feel like a job. It should never feel like a job. You should never feel like you have to check in with people every single day or do all of these different things. When it becomes that, you need to step back and reevaluate. Is this a friendship that is serving both of us? Because if it's not serving you in this way, you're not serving this friendship either. You are not going to be there to be beneficial to them in the best capacity you can if you cannot do that. If you are overwhelmed, if you're stressed, if you're unable to do these things, you're not going to be able to be valuable in that friendship the way that you once were. And it's okay to change and redefine these things. So understand how you can show up best and operate under that. Be very clear about who you're spending your time with, and keep working relationships in the outer circles, not in the inner circles. Make sure you understand what's going to work best for right now, and understand that it's not a one and done situation. You are not going to define your timelines right now and then stick with it for the rest of your publishing life. Your life will change. The things that you have to do on a daily level will change, and the people around you are going to change too. You have to change with the times. And so you need to check in with yourself, and you need to reevaluate this, and you need to move things around. You need to be able to be flexible with this and be able to put your best into this. So while you have a plan right now, that plan may not be as effective 2 months from now. So pay attention, be aware of these things. And if you start to feel stressed or overwhelmed, or if anything starts to feel like a job instead of a friendship or working relationship, etc., you need to reevaluate that and reposition yourself within it. It may involve a conversation with people, or maybe it just means you have to be responsible enough to change your actions so that you are best serving you and the group that you are interacting with. I know there's so much that goes into this. There's so much psychology, there's so much communication skills, there's so much stuff that plays a part into this. So if you've got questions on this, go ahead and drop it down below. I know this was a very, very, very wide overview, not a very deep very deep interview. My goodness, English is hard for authors sometimes. And I want to make sure that we are helping you as best as possible. So if at any point you feel stressed about this and you've got questions, you need an objective point of view, happy to help, happy to lend a listening ear, happy to be the shoulder to cry on. Please feel free to reach out and hit that subscribe and notification bell, because every single day we're dropping videos to help you thrive in this space. And we're having the hard conversations like this to make sure you are doing the best for your career, for your books and manuscripts, and for your friendships in this industry. We want to make sure you are giving the best that you possibly can. And sometimes that means you have to step back a little bit, reevaluate a little bit, reposition yourself a little bit, and all of those things are okay, acceptable, and healthy to do. So drop your questions down below. We will see you in upcoming videos to help you level up inside of the publishing industry so you can thrive in this space as best as possible. We'll see you in the next episode.